Would it surprise you to hear that only 32% of sellers on Amazon are women? There are unique benefits and challenges facing women in the industry. And that's what we're going to be discussing today with successful Amazon seller Kimberly French. Welcome to the AMZ Unlocked podcast today. I'm your host, Kimberly Locke. March is Women's History Month, and today we are sitting down with a remarkable woman who has built a successful business on and off Amazon. She's an entrepreneur, a problem solver, and a risk taker. And she has not only navigated the challenges of starting a business as a female entrepreneur in a male dominated industry, but she has navigated with success in her sales and her customer service. So, welcome, Kimberly. I am so happy to have you on the podcast. And for those of you who don't know, Kimberly is a very well known person in the space in Amazon and a very successful seller in her own right. So, let's dive in and get started. So thank you very much for joining me on the podcast, Kimberly. For those people who don't know Kimberly French, she's a very successful Amazon seller. But if you just give us a little bit about your background and how you got started with Amazon.
Yeah, sure. I love talking about Amazon seller origin stories, and there's a lot to unpack in mine, so I'll try and keep it short and sweet. Basically, I started selling in 2018. I was climbing the corporate ladder. I was a partner at a mid-sized accounting firm. And at that time, I had a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old. And I think a few parents might relate to this. There's a massive change that happens at that age because you're moving away from daycare and those longer hours into the school system, which is basically 9 to 3. And as we know, anyone working full time, they don't work 9 to 3. They're working 8 to 5 on a good day. So I was very stressed. I was working crazy hours, and although I was working with a lot of large businesses, I'd always set aside a little bit of time to work with startups. That's really where my passion was. And through interacting with these startup businesses, and they included everything and anything, although I never came across another Amazon seller, it did inspire me to start looking outside the box and maybe think, hey, there might be a better way to do this because the system really is broken for working parents. There's a lot of school holidays, there's a lot of hours that you need to fill. And through working with these startups, I started thinking about what I could be doing that would create a better work-life balance. And that's where I kind of stumbled and fell into Amazon. I actually started on Shopify first, but then someone told me about, the power of FBA and having someone fulfill those orders for me. So long story short, that passion to actually get some balance in my life, to earn an income while still being able to be at home and do all the family and things like that really pushed me to explore other options. And I sold that first brand, learned so much along the way, and went on to create other Amazon businesses and just continued to learn and grow. And I'm completely out of that corporate life now and never been happier, but it's still a learning process.
Oh, congratulations. That's well done. So you've sold one brand and I know you have a couple, you have two other brands currently.
I do. I do. I mean, it sounds like it's been all roses and very easy, but I've had a couple of brands that didn't quite go as expected. But right now, I've got two brands, two in the US and actually one in Australia. So, yeah, I'd say 2 to 3, depending on how you look at it, because one's kind of a hybrid in Australia.
Yeah, yeah. So are you going to be so the brand that you have in the US, is it just in the US?
It's actually in the UK and the North American market. So I use the NAF program. Anyone who's familiar with that, it's where Amazon fulfills for you in Canada, Mexico, even Brazil, from your US, I guess, warehousing. So yeah, North America, the UK.
Excellent. And then you've got the other brand in Australia.
Yes, and the US, but I kind of pick and choose what products to bring across to Australia.
That's a really good point because I'm doing the same with mine. I'm in Australia and the US, but I don't have all three of my products in Australia. You have to look at that marketplace and say, what's really going to sell here. So, you can pick and choose with those products, which ones you go, which marketplaces you take them to.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it changes so much from marketplace to marketplace. You can't, it's not a cookie cutter solution. We both know that. I mean, I wish it was that easy, but it's just not.
No, it's not, and it's different for every brand too, because different brands have different goals, and different capabilities. So you have to really, you can't. It's not one size fits all for any marketplace or any product or any niche.
Mm, totally, totally.
So when you were starting out, how did you make the decision on what products you wanted to sell? And we've already talked about which market, how you pick on the marketplaces, what's going to work there. But was there anything that just made it really easy to decide to go to Australia and not the US with that one product or that brand?
Yeah. So when I first started, I jumped straight into the US. But like I said, it was purely by accident. I know that sounds really weird. And I can actually talk about that product a little bit because I have sold it. Don't recommend this niche for anyone. I picked the hardest, most ridiculous niche you can possibly imagine. And it was purely because I had no idea what I was doing. I just jumped straight into the deep end. I live on the Gold Coast in Australia, and it's a real surfing kind of culture. We spend a lot of our time outdoors. I'm very fair, and I have two very fair children as well. And I found it really hard to find swimsuits that didn't make them look like a complete dork, but still, had all that sun protection. It's something they wanted to wear. So I actually went into sun safe swimsuits. So, it was everything all the experts tell you not to do. Don't go into fashion, don't go into seasonal items, don't go into anything that requires extra authentication. I ticked every box that you shouldn't do for products. So it was a real learning curve, and I don't regret any of it for a second because it was it taught me. I had to learn really fast on my feet what I can and can't do and how to do it and how to connect with great people that could help me through those roadblocks. So I started making these swimsuits. Like I said, I started on Shopify first, got those orders happening from overseas and thought there's got to be a better way to fulfill these orders. So that's when I went to Amazon FBA, and the rest is history. Yeah, built that brand up to a stage where it could be sold. Was really thankful for that. But even if it wasn't sold, like I said, there was so much learning in that, in how to pick good products moving forward. So now when I'm looking for products, I look for things that aren't fashion. I don't need to keep recreating the wheel at every season. I look for things that I can create great variations from and a real community around. I get really specific on my niche, and I think this is something you might do as well. I usually sell products that I'm the customer avatar for. I find that so
100%.
powerful. Yeah, like you know what people are looking for, the language to use, what imagery is really going to capture their attention because you're essentially selling to yourself. Of course, always back it up with data, do the research and make sure that the numbers stack up. And, a lot of people go into so much depth about what to look for in a product and all the different metrics you should be checking in on, and each to their own. But I really check three things, and that's, is there demand? Are people looking for it? How strong is the competition? Can I compete? And how am I going to stand out? If I can cover those three things and with confidence say, yes, yes, and this is how I'm going to stand out, I'm in. And that's my process. So it's a mixture of gut feelings. What am I drawn to? What do I like? What's the data saying? And then it's all on.
I'm glad you said that about the competition though, because a lot of people in the space say, "Oh, you got to find a niche with high demand and low competition." That doesn't exist.
Yes,
So it really comes down to, can I beat the competition that's there? You're always going to have competition. It's, can I do better than they're doing?
100%. And I think that's where so many people get stuck in that analysis paralysis because they are looking for that magical unicorn of a niche where there's zero competition but huge demand. You're right. It doesn't exist. So it's working out how you can position yourself better than the competition. Can you compete? Maybe they have really poor images or they're quality is not up to standard. Like you're looking for those areas where you can just swoop in and go, yes, I can do it better. And obviously, not just on price. I don't compete on price.
No, absolutely not. That's always just a race to the bottom. So what are those areas? You mentioned photos, but are there other
Mhm.
things that you do to really make sure that your listing, is not only going to get that click with the great photo and the hero image and the good title, but then how do you make sure that your listing is optimized to get that conversion?
Yeah, definitely. And again, you hear the keywords thrown around so much, listing optimization, how do you get that traffic? I kind of take that one step back and go, well, let's start with a really, really good product. I think if you choose the right product from the outset, you're already 90% of the way there. I mentioned differentiation before, and I really do focus on that. I try and differentiate to solve a pain point or create a better buying experience, not just, changing the color for the sake of it. Really looking for a way to be different that's going to grab someone's attention because Amazon's such a visual platform as well. So you have a couple of seconds to steal the click. So if you're different in a way that, solves that pain point or creates excitement, and it can be as simple as just having really cool packaging. Obviously, the more you differentiate, the harder it is for your competition to sneak in and copy and do that sort of thing. But um, once you've got that product that is different, but in a way that works for the buyer, I then have a very strong social media, I guess, attack plan. With that, I like to have very Instagrammable products, something somebody's going to want to take a photo of and share. And you'd be so surprised at the amount of traffic you can generate from those types of products. I mean, what's the old example, the garlic press? Imagine trying to get people excited about selling a garlic press. They're not going to be sharing that on their socials. Whereas if you had something like a really beautiful colored picnic basket or something like that, people are going to take that photo. They're going to put it on their socials. Not only do you get great content, but then their friends are seeing it. The friends of friends are seeing it as it gets passed around. And Amazon loves outside traffic as well. So the more you can traffic you can send from doing that to your listing, the more ranking juice you get. It's the real the snowball effect. Before you know it, you're on page one. Obviously, there is a little bit of work that comes along with that, but if you pick that product that is beautifully, really cleverly thought out to be different, it's visual, it's something people get excited and want to share. It makes that ranking so much easier than fighting tooth and nail over every keyword. So I kind of take that approach rather than the very data heavy fight for keywords. So a little bit different, I
Yeah.
think, to some.
I mean, it's important to make sure you get those keywords in there, but again, you're
Oh,
absolutely
absolutely.
right. The most important decision you make is what product you're going to sell.
Yeah.
Um, and like I made a video recently where I talked about, gas factor. People have to care about it. People have to give a shit about what this product is, and if it doesn't solve a real pain point or really make their life better, you're wasting time. And like a garlic press is like, that might make my life a little bit easier, but I'm not going to get excited about my brand new garlic press.
Not at all. No. And the another strategy, and I've shared this with you before, something else I do before a launch is you can actually buy Instagram accounts or you can buy any sort of social media account, whether it's TikTok, Facebook, whatever it might be, um, in your niche. So if you were selling that picnic basket, you could go into something that's related to your outdoor lifestyle, something a little bit aesthetic like that. Buy an account. It's already got X amount of followers. You take it over, keep delivering that great content, and then slowly feed in details about your product. It's a trusted audience if it's done right, and then they're sent to Amazon to buy. So you have that pre-done audience to market to. Of course, before you buy anything, just make sure you get it audited so that it's real people in the right locations. But that's been a huge traffic driver for me as well and worked brilliantly.
Excellent. And even if you don't go that route, if you don't buy your own, buy an existing social media account, you can still build one up. And I think you said something that was really important there is that you're delivering content you're not just, it's not just a commercial.
Mm.
I mean, I don't know if they had this back in the 80s in Australia, but the infomercials, late night TV, 30 minutes long, but wait, there's more, all
Yeah.
of this kind of hype and sales. Most people get really turned off by that. So if you're going to have a social media account, you want to make sure that you're delivering value in whatever niche that your product is.
100%. People can smell it from a mile away. I hate being sold to. It's really about delivering quality content. And then, maybe every fourth or fifth post, there's your product, but framed in a very helpful, this is going to solve this pain point for you. If you want to find out more, go here. Not pushy, not salesy. Again, content before you slide in the next one.
100%. Absolutely. We've talked about what you do for your launches. So, making sure that you've got that content going on Instagram. Do you just use Instagram or do you use other social media platforms for your niche?
I very much focus on Instagram. I'm starting to play around with TikTok, and I'm also a huge fan of Google AdWords. So especially in Australia. So in the US, people are more likely to open Amazon to begin their search, but in Australia, we're a little bit behind, and a lot of people still go to Google. So especially if I'm doing an Australian launch, I'll make sure that I've got my Google AdWords campaign set up, ready to roll.
Absolutely. Yes. Amazon loves external traffic.
It
So if you can
does.
send it from a social media account or from Google, they're going to love you. And if you're brand registered, you've got to use your brand referral bonus links for that. So you get that
Mhm.
extra 10%. So yeah, those are excellent strategies for launch and just for maintenance of your account. So March is, I don't know if you're aware of this, but March is actually Women's History Month.
Yes.
And we had Women's International Day earlier in the month. But I find it, I don't know what you think, but I find that there aren't that many women in this industry. I mean, do you feel like there's an imbalance?
Yeah, unfortunately, I do. And I hate hearing that. And, you know, but at the same time, I'm not really surprised by it, which is sad. And I really wish I could pinpoint why. And maybe it's the age old saying, when a woman wants to apply for a job, she makes sure she's got all the credentials they're looking for in her resume, whereas a man kind of jumps in the deep end if they cover off a couple of them. Maybe we're a little bit more hesitant to make sure we've got the skill set and all the tools and all the knowledge. But unfortunately, with Amazon, no one ever does. We're learning on our feet the whole time. So, you know, maybe it's that um, courage to get started. And also, I think we're really lacking time as women. And I hate to generalize because everyone's situation is different, but if you're a working mum, for example, there's very little time left in your day to do much else. So the thought of
Sure.
starting an Amazon business can be really overwhelming, especially when there's so much unknown.
Yeah. But it does fall into, you can start out as a side hustle and you
Oh,
can dedicate just a little bit of time. I mean, it's by no means passive income. And anyone who tells you that Amazon is passive income is not right. Just blatantly wrong.
mhm.
You have to work at this business, but it doesn't require the same amount of time as a full-time job.
Not at all. Not at all. And I think a lot of it comes to the great foundations, laying great foundations at the beginning, getting organized, getting all your systems in place, recording what you need to where, getting that sorted so that when it is up and running, it will run a lot smoother, largely on autopilot. You won't be scrambling, but those first few months, especially, that's when you've got that time cost that you've got to outlay.
Yeah, I mean, and I feel like anytime I'm about to launch a product is when I'm spending the most amount of time doing anything, doing that product research, reaching out to suppliers, getting those samples, figuring out if this is really what I want to do. And then once it gets going, there's once it takes having those systems in place, I think,
It does.
and having as many automations as possible. And there's some great tools in the space that can help with a lot of that automation.
Yeah, it really can. And that's where I think it's really powerful to connect with other sellers and get great authority figures like yourself that can direct people to software and tools and resources that are going to make their lives so much easier, because going it alone can be really tough.
Absolutely. And, full disclosure, Kimberly and I are in a mastermind together. And I'm just curious what your thoughts are on that kind of community and mastermind, having that type of, masterminds can do a lot of things. They can help encourage you, they can help keep you on track, and they can help keep you accountable. And do you find that, our mastermind or any other mastermind you've been in the past has done that for you?
Oh, absolutely. And my biggest regret is not joining something like that sooner. So I was quite stubborn. I did it the hard way. I didn't do any training courses. I didn't connect with any other sellers for a very long time. And if I'm being completely honest with myself, I think it's because I didn't feel like I was at the level where I would be accepted. I needed to sell a certain amount per month to feel, I'd say, worthy of joining a mastermind or something like that. And that's absolute rubbish. The community is so helpful and welcoming. And the difference that I've experienced through having those regular touch points and being accountable, but also having people to sound ideas against, whether it's a new product idea or an issue I'm having with Seller Central or whatever it might be. I've got it's like my Amazon seller family around me going, "Hey, I've done that before, or try this person, or I know a guy." Everybody is so welcoming and it makes a huge difference. And whether you have sold $1 million or zero, it doesn't matter. Surrounding yourself with people who are going to push you on your journey, it's hands down, go and do it. It's necessary.
Absolutely. And, early in my career, my first product, which is still my main hero product, I was in one mastermind, and it was a mastermind where I think everyone was too nice and they didn't want to say, no, that sucks. And then I shortly thereafter joined another mastermind through a training program that I was involved in. And I brought my design to them and they looked at it and goes, "No, that's horrible." And I was like, "Oh." So it was, lucky it hadn't gone to sale yet. It was in production and I was able to get this design feature of it changed. And now it's my best selling product. So
Yeah.
if I hadn't had that tough love, I mean, it was like a gut punch. But every one of them, I told them, I said, "That was a gut punch." I said, "But thank you.
Yeah.
I needed that. I don't want the fluff. I want someone to tell me straight, yes, this is a good idea. No, that's a horrible idea."
It's such a good point. Yeah, it's finding those people who are going to be honest, who are going to keep you accountable. It can save you so much pain down the track. And like you said, it is a gut punch, and it's happened to me as well. I
Mm.
showed somebody a design I was ready to go to production on in my group, and they was like, "No, no, no, can't do it. Not a chance. These are the reasons why." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much." As soon as they pointed it out, I could see exactly where I'd gone wrong, course corrected, and then yeah, the rest is history.
Yeah, I mean, I think in some of our past work, again, full disclosure, Kimberly and I both worked for ZonGuru for a time, and I think we encountered sellers who probably would have benefited from having that kind of tough love in a mastermind, saying that's not the choice, because then we're catching them after the fact, and it's like,
Mm,
I would have told you not to do this, but let's see what we can do to fix it. So
yeah, yeah, it's very hard once you've invested in the product, it's live, you're not selling, to do anything about it at that stage. Your options are really limited. There are sometimes things you can do, but it's better to catch it before before that.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. But, a
Mhm.
lot of times it can be something as simple as just getting better photography or putting it
Yeah.
into a virtual bundle or just changing the title, and then adding those extra layers of that external traffic. I think that's something that a lot of sellers, they'll just turn on PPC and leave it, and not go for that external traffic.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So, what do you do to stay competitive in this crowded marketplace? I know we've talked about your product selection and how you make those decisions, but and the social media. Is there anything else that you do that helps keep you you think competitive and successful with your sales?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many areas that I always say I feel like that person with the spinning plates, just trying to make sure nothing drops because the marketplace is constantly evolving and changing. So what I did 6 months ago to stay competitive and successful probably wouldn't work as well now. And likewise, 6 months in the future, there'll be new things. So it's really keeping up to date with what's changing, both in the marketplace, consumer trends, what Amazon allows, doesn't allow. They're always coming out with new features. So that definitely plays into having that group around you, being tapped into really reliable sources of information, making sure that you are on the ball because often Amazon will reward you if you are an early adopter of a new program that they've got, or it can just be as simple as benefiting you of a new promotion or something that they're running. Um, so I definitely keep an eye on that. I love, and it's not so new anymore, but the Amazon Post program. It's free if you're, again back to that visual differentiation of products that really stands out. It's a great way to showcase it. It's essentially social media for Amazon, so you can put some really cool lifestyle pictures up there. Amazon's going to place it all around the website so that you can for free appear on a competitor's listing or a search page results, and you've got all sorts of metrics to see how you're performing with that, clicks and conversions, and so that's a really brilliant program that I use every day. I do a post for my products. That's been a huge, huge help. And it's always fun to see too what creatives are performing better than others. And you'll be surprised which ones stand out. And then from there, you can take that and make sure it's on your listing page. So, consumers are telling you what they like, what they're clicking on, repurpose it elsewhere. It's quite a good, almost like a split test, if you or like a consumer poll, because they're telling you what's working and what's not.
Absolutely. And it's a way to communicate with your customers on Amazon because Amazon holds those customers very dear. And I wasn't really doing much with my Amazon posts. And I was focusing more on other areas. And I went to check, I was like, oh, I need to get back into this. And I hadn't done but I think one post at the time when I went and checked this, and I had 86 followers.
That's awesome for one
I was like,
post.
how did yeah, and then, of course, you get them also from coming to your storefront. So I did have
Nice.
some ads going to the storefront, but I was like, oh my gosh, without trying, I had 86 people. And you can reach out to them. And
Yeah,
a great tip, you can now schedule your Amazon posts. So you can batch them and have them ready to spend, an hour or so at the beginning of the week and have them ready for the whole week. So that's what I'm starting to do with a lot of my social media.
yes,
Facebook, Instagram, Amazon posts, just getting it out there and use those automations.
absolutely. It's that, 1 hour on a Monday, just schedule all your posts for the week and then you don't need to worry about it again. And like you said, you get those followers, you can retarget with email campaigns through Amazon. So it's all above board. So if you've got a new product launching that's in a related space, you can reach out to them and go, hey, loved this. Now look what I'm launching here. It's so good. And a lot of people don't use it and or not even aware that it's there because they're not keeping up to date with what's changing. Um, yeah, it's brilliant.
Excellent. Um, so one last question. What advice would you give to someone wanting to start an Amazon business that's just thinking about it? And especially if it's a woman thinking about jumping into this e-commerce jungle.
Yeah, 100%. There is so much I want to say here, especially for women, because I was that person. I was working crazy hours trying to juggle work life, home life, and everything else that goes with it. My life is so different now. I can't explain just the pressure that has been lifted from my shoulders, knowing that I can earn a great income, be there for every pickup, drop off, school activity. And it doesn't matter whether you've got kids or not, life's busy. And now I get to call the shots on how I spend my life. It is worth putting in the hard yards. Going to be 6 months or so of a really steep learning curve, very stressful, but on the other side, it is just amazing. And the best advice I could give is just go live. I don't even care what the product is, just get over that fear of launching. So I heard somewhere, and correct me if this stat is way off, but only 2% of people actually get to launch who start this journey. So 2%. Pick a
Yep.
product, sell 20 units of it. Use it as a learning tool. I don't even care what the product is, but the learnings you'll get out of launching are priceless. And then you'll be able to go on and find that winning product next time around, without being so hung up on how you actually sell. So it's just go live, sell anything, 10, 20 units, whatever it might be, to learn the process, and then go to finding that product. And I know we've mentioned this so many times already, but just connect with other sellers. It's such a friendly community. You'll learn so much from just chatting with other sellers.
This has been a great conversation. I really appreciate you coming on the podcast, and there have been some amazing nuggets of knowledge in here for anyone wanting to sell on Amazon, and especially for women wanting to sell. So thank you very much, Kimberly, for your time. And I'll have to have you back again sometime so we can hear how you're going.
Love to. Thanks, Kimberly.
Thank you. It has been brilliant speaking with you, Kimberly. Thank you so much. This has been really eye opening and some great insights that I think everyone can apply towards their Amazon business, or to just fuel that fire that may be burning inside them and get them going to make that leap and actually start an Amazon business. So thank you very much. If you haven't already subscribed to the podcast or the YouTube channel, please don't forget to do that so you get reminded of upcoming podcasts and videos. Leave a comment below. Let us know if you found anything particularly enlightening, and if you have any questions, or if there's any topics that you would like to hear discussed on the channel going forward. I would love to hear from you.